everyone knows, Chupacabra. But do you know the story behind the legend? Meet Joaun, the man who saw the Chupacabra.
It started like any rural mystery: quiet nights, soft wind through the trees, and a silence that felt almost too deep. In the small farming town of Mandaguari, in southern Brazil, people lived simple lives, close to the earth. But one night, that silence was broken by the sound of frightened animals. Goats cried out in the darkness, their voices sharp, desperate. Then suddenly, nothing. The farmer, Joao, woke up with a start. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside, the beam cutting through the fog. The night was still, the air thick. His dogs barked but refused to leave the porch. Something was wrong. He could feel it, deep in his chest. Like a warning his body already knew. He reached the pen. Everything seemed normal, until his light passed over the corner. One of the goats was lying still. There was no sign of a struggle. No blood, no sound. Just a strange, hollow stillness that made his hands tremble. He whispered to himself, "What happened here?" By morning, the neighbors had gathered. Everyone was talking at once, their faces pale with fear. Some said it was stray dogs. Others whispered about something far older, something that came from the forests when the moon disappeared. The Chupacabra, an old man muttered, "It's back." Joao tried to ignore it. He buried the animal, repaired the fence, and told himself it was nothing. But 2 nights later, he heard it again, the same sound of panic, then silence. He ran outside faster this time, his light shaking in his hand. What he saw made him freeze. In the beam of his flashlight stood a shadow, low to the ground but moving like a man. It turned its head, and Joe caught a glimpse of eyes reflecting yellow, glowing in the dark. The shape shifted, almost fluid, then darted into the trees. The dogs howled, but not one dared to chase. The next morning, more animals were gone. Chickens, a goat, even a dog. Each case the same, quiet, quick, clean. Joe tried to convince himself it was a known redditor, but deep down he knew it wasn't. It didn't move like anything he'd ever seen. It moved with purpose, like it understood what fear was. Word spread quickly through the countryside. Radios started mentioning mysterious livestock deaths. Reporters visited the farms, cameras flashing under the hot sun. Joe didn't want to speak, but when he did, he said only one thing: it wasn't human. Whatever it was, it knew I was watching. In the evenings, families locked their animals inside. Doors were bolted. Lights stayed on. People whispered about seeing shapes along the roads at night, crouched figures that disappeared when headlights passed. Others claimed to hear soft footsteps outside their windows, the kind that made you hold your breath until morning. One woman, Dona Lucia, said she saw it near her hen house. It stood on 2 legs, she said, tall but hunched, its skin pale and dry, its eyes glowing faintly like coals in the dark. It wasn't an animal, she whispered, and it wasn't a man. The town was no longer sleeping peacefully. Even the children stopped playing outside after sunset. The sound of insects filled the night, but it was the silence between those sounds that made people nervous. Every creak of wood, every rustle of leaves, felt like a warning. Local police began to investigate. They set traps and cameras, but every morning, the footage was the same: static, drained batteries, dead lenses, as if something didn't want to be seen. Electrical interference, the technician said, but Joe thought otherwise. It's smarter than we think. Weeks passed, no one had seen the creature again. People began to relax, until one morning Joe found strange marks in the soil behind the barn. Not paw prints, not human. Long, uneven impressions, like something heavy had crouched there during the night, watching. That evening, Joe decided to wait. He sat on his porch with a lantern and his old rifle across his lap. The crickets sang, the sky was cloudless, and the air felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Midnight came and went. Then, from the distance, he heard a low sound, almost like breathing. The lantern flickered. Joe stood slowly, his heart pounding. The sound grew closer, soft steps on dry leaves. He aimed toward the fence. For a moment, nothing moved. Then 2 yellow lights appeared, eyes staring straight back at him. He whispered, "Dear God." The creature didn't attack. It simply stared, motionless, as if studying him. Then, without warning, it turned and vanished into the field. Joe felt a rush of cold air pass over him, and then silence again, heavier than before. He didn't sleep that night. The next day, he found no damage, no tracks, nothing to prove what he saw. But the animals refused to eat, and the air inside the barn smelled strange, metallic, faintly sweet, like something not meant for this world. He knew then that whatever it wasn't gone. Other towns began to report similar events. Mysterious deaths, drained livestock, and strange shapes in the night. It wasn't just Mandaguri anymore. It was spreading, and every story sounded the same. Always at night, always silent, always gone by dawn. Experts arrived, biologists, journalists, skeptics. They said it was just wild dogs with disease or panic spreading through tired farmers. But when the cameras turned off, even they admitted the patterns didn't make sense. The attacks were too clean, too precise, too deliberate. Months later, Joe left his farm. He couldn't stay anymore. The nights felt different, colder, emptier. He moved to the city, but sometimes, when he couldn't sleep, he'd swear he heard it again. That soft breathing, somewhere outside his window, always distant, always waiting. The stories spread online. The Brazilian Chupacabra videos, interviews, grainy photos. Some said it was real. Others said it was just fear wearing a new face. But those who lived through it didn't care what people believed. They knew the silence of that night too well. And even now, deep in the countryside, people still whisper when the lights go out. They say the creature returns every few years, following the new moon. They say it hunts only in silence. And if you listen closely, just before dawn, you can still hear the breathing.
Sometimes knowing the truth can be cruel. In your opinion, whether real or not, please comment. Good night.